Udo Kier's passing marks the end of a cinematic chapter that may never be written again. His death at the age of 81, confirmed by his partner, artist Delbert McBride, sent ripples across the film world, ripples that symbolized not just grief, but awe for a man whose career defied boundaries, whose presence on screen shifted seamlessly from grotesque beauty to gentle melancholy, and whose life was a tapestry of the eccentric, the iconic, the bold, and the quietly human. To say Udo Kier was simply an actor is to diminish the vastness of what he embodied. He was a symbol of art, of rebellion, of a different kind of stardom that didn't chase the spotlight but created its own distinct glow. Kier's career was built not on mainstream box office hits or formulaic Hollywood story arcs, but on instinct, daring choices, and an unapologetic embrace of the strange. He had the rare kind of face that directors never forgot, sharp, angular, almost sculptural, with eyes that held a peculiar intensity. Those eyes could look haunted, seductive, monstrous, or heartbreakingly fragile. The duality fascinated audiences for decades. When McBride spoke to Variety, the grief in his voice was not merely about the loss of a partner, but about the departure of someone who lived life as a work of art. Born Udo Kier on October 14, 1944. In Cologne, Germany, he came into the world during one of the darkest periods in modern history. His mother famously told him that he had been born in a bomb shelter, while Allied forces bombed the city above them. In many ways, that story, half terrifying, half poetic, became the metaphoric prologue to Kier's life. He was born in chaos, molded by shadows, destined for a world that embraced the surreal and the unconventional. Growing up amid the rubble of a destroyed Germany, Kier would later speak about how his earliest memories shaped his appetite for the unusual. He developed a fascination for faces, textures, silences, and emotional undercurrents, elements he would one day bring to life on film through characters that lingered in people's minds long after the credits rolled. He didn't set out to be a legend. In fact, he stumbled into film almost accidentally. As a young man, Kier moved to London to study English and take odd jobs. While sitting in a cafe one afternoon, a casting agent noticed his striking looks and invited him to audition for a small role. That's how Kier entered the labyrinth of cinema, without a plan, without expectations, guided primarily by instinct. And instinct became his compass for the next 6 decades. One of the earliest milestones of his career came in the early 1970s, when he crossed paths with Andy Warhol's Circle. This collaboration would become one of the defining chapters of Kier's artistic identity. Warhol's world was provocative, glamorous, messy, raw, and intoxicating. It blurred the lines between high art and underground rebellion. Kier fit into that world effortlessly, not because he was trying to, but because he already lived at that intersection. He became part of Paul Morrissey's Warhol-produced films, most notably starring in Flesh for Frankenstein 1973 and Blood for Dracula 1974. These weren't mere horror films, they were cult phenomena dripping with satire, gore, sensuality, and the kind of chaotic brilliance that only the Warhol era could birth. In Blood for Dracula, Kier's portrayal of Count Dracula was not the traditional depiction audiences were used to. Instead, he played Dracula as a tragic, almost pitiful figure, sickly, frail, craving purity in a corrupt world. His voice, trembling and dramatic, delivered lines that would eventually be quoted for decades in underground film circles. The performance cemented him as a cult icon. People didn't just watch Kier. They dissected him, studied him, celebrated him. The success of these films opened doors across Europe, where Kier became a fixture in the work of boundary-pushing directors. One of the most significant of these was Rainer Werner Fassbinder, a powerhouse of the new German cinema movement. Fassbinder admired actors who carried emotional contradictions, and Kier's essence was built from contradictions. In Fassbinder's world, Kier found roles that were psychologically layered, morally ambiguous, and situated in stories that were as political as they were personal. Their collaboration deepened Kier's European stardom and solidified his reputation as an actor unafraid of complexity. But if the 1970s and 1980s introduced Kier to artistry, the 1990s introduced him to a new, lifelong creative partnership with Danish filmmaker Lars von Trier. The first time Kier worked with von Trier, something clicked between them, an artistic kinship that transcended typical actor-director dynamics. Von Trier, known for his emotionally brutal, stylistically daring films, found in Kier a performer who could inhabit discomfort and vulnerability without fear. Kier, in turn, found a director who understood how to pull from him performances that were simultaneously theatrical and achingly human. He appeared in several of von Trier's most celebrated works, including Breaking the Waves 1996, where he delivered a small but pivotal performance that added to the film's haunting emotional texture. In Dancer in the Dark 2000, he took on another intense role, helping shape a film that would go on to win the Palme d'Or, but it was Dogville 2003 and Melancholia 2011 that showcased Kier's ability to take even brief screen time and turn it into something unforgettable. In Dogville, his stern, morally rigid character added tension to the already claustrophobic narrative. In Melancholia, Kier played a flamboyant wedding planner whose exaggerated mannerisms contrasted the film's apocalyptic dreaded juxtaposition that worked precisely because Kier knew how to lean into absurdity without losing emotional truth, while his collaborations with European authors shaped his artistic identity. Kier's Hollywood ventures introduced him to mainstream audiences. His appearances in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective 1994, Armageddon 1998, and Blade 1998 reached a new generation of fans who may not have known about his Warhol days or his European filmography but instantly recognized the unique magnetism he brought to every role. Kier had a knack for playing villains, mysterious figures, or eccentric supporting characters who left an impact disproportionate to their screen time. But beyond blockbusters, Kier continued to choose roles based on curiosity, not career strategy. He would say in interviews that he didn't care if a film had a big budget or a small one. He cared about whether the character sparked something inside him. That openness led him to work across genres, languages, and styles. From indie films to art house experimental pieces, he embraced the full spectrum of cinema, earning a reputation as one of the most versatile actors of his generation. His final completed film, The Secret Agent, added yet another achievement to his legacy. The movie earned Wagner Moura the award for Best Actor at the 2025 Cannes Film Festival. And while Moura's performance was the centerpiece, Kier's presence helped shape the film's atmospheric tone. Even in his 80s, Kier was bringing something fresh, something essential to every production. Off-screen, Kier's life was equally fascinating. After decades of traveling the world, he eventually settled in Los Angeles and Palm Springs, two places that matched the duality of his spirit, one bustling and cinematic, the other calm, sun-drenched, and filled with artistic energy. In Palm Springs especially, Kier became something of a local icon. Residents recalled seeing him at gallery openings, design exhibitions, film festival events, or simply strolling through neighborhoods lined with mid-century modern homes. He loved architecture, particularly the sleek, minimalist, yet expressive style that defined Palm Springs. He collected art, furniture, and unique objects from around the world, filling his home with pieces that told stories of decades of travel, collaboration, and personal evolution. People who met him in Palm Springs would often say he was nothing like the intense characters he portrayed. Instead, he radiated warmth, humor, and a deep appreciation for life's eccentric details. He was known to strike up conversations with strangers, offer unexpected compliments, or share anecdotes about the film industry not in a boastful way, but with the casual charm of someone who had lived through extraordinary times and wanted to make those moments feel accessible to everyone.